Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with Triumph and Tragedy, talking about a little bit of the end of the Civil War, and the last little battles there, and also the triumph of victory, but the tragedy of Lincoln's death and what that would mean for the future of the country, what that would mean for freedmen and just the nation in general. But we're now on to a little bit of a shorter part today, so the video is going to be a little shorter today. Probably, maybe, we'll see. Um, We're on to part 3, the Industrial Revolution and world power, 1866 to 1918. Naturally, the immediate problems after the Civil War were Reconstruction of the South. But these issues soon gave way to economic ones: the tariff, the currency question, the grievances of labor, and the problems of the farmer. In 1876, the Democrats almost won the presidency. In 1884, they succeeded with the election of Grover Cleveland. For a time, there was a third-party agrarian movement, the Populists, who protested against Eastern capitalism. In 1896, it coalesced with the Democrats. With the new century, populism faded, but the reform movement did not. Theodore Roosevelt, the Republican, and Woodrow Wilson, the Democrat, gave new impulse to political changes such as the popular election of senators, direct primaries, and equal suffrage for women. Still, more evident was a demand for economic reforms, curbing the trusts, conserving natural resources, and legislation befitting labor. With the Spanish-American War of 1898 and the acquisition of a small colonial empire, the United States became recognized as one of the great powers. Although President Roosevelt waged no wars, he made American influence felt by vigorous diplomatic initiatives. During Wilson's administration, war broke out in Europe in 1914 and involved the United States in 1917. In the following year, a great coalition of nations defeated Germany and her allies. Yeah, so obviously there's a lot going on with all that, but they'll have the Industrial Revolution, right after the American Civil War, a lot of that can get, okay, well, hey, look, it's all done. Okay, now we can get into reconstructing the South, like they said, and that'll lead to a lot of big changes. You'll have the intercontinental, oh, the Continental Railroad system from the east to west. You'll have the booming of industry and the growing size of industry in the United States. But you'll also have a lot of monopolies, a lot of big trusts. You'll have people like John D. Rockefeller or Carnegie and things like that. You'll have a lot of big people showing up, and they'll make big money on a lot of this stuff. Rockefeller probably being one of the richest men in all of human history, if not the richest. Hard to say, really. But yeah, big changes. And the Democrats winning, by the way, the reason that they're pointing that out, it's just a big surprise. People didn't think the Democrats were going to win for a while, but Republican presidents and politicians in general had made quite a few blunders, leading to a Democrat president. But more or less, Republicans kind of hold the presidency for quite a while, which makes sense. It's still considered the party of um, freeing the slaves and things like that. So it's very popular, especially amongst those freed men that can vote. But yeah, and you have a lot of big changes. The voting, this suffrage for women. You'll have big economic reforms, breaking up the trusts, things like that. Actually, breaking up the trusts actually what makes Rockefeller so rich. And America gets its own little colonial empire. You get things like the Philippines, stuff like that. Cuba technically wasn't an American colony, but was under its influence. So it's a little. But yeah, you get a bunch of that stuff after the Spanish-American War, and it'll lead to big changes. But I'll tell you what the picture is right here. The picture is smoke means prosperity and steel. Pittsburgh, 1909. That's what the name of the picture is. Yeah, Pittsburgh, one of the largest, well, I mean, the main place where steel is made in the United States. You have a lot of the out east, a lot of big industry rising. You have coal mining, steel manufacturing. You have the Rust Belt now in the United States, which is this huge area of where steel was made all the way into the all the way into Ohio and Pennsylvania, Ohio, places in Indiana, things like that. Um, Michigan, some a lot of big industries rising during this time, and they will inevitably fall, but you can really see the big economic boom that America will go through soon, and why it helps influence its rise to being a great power. But with that, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you have any reason to improve these videos, leave a comment down below. I just appreciate feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.